Welcome to Everyday Martial Artist, a weekly podcast where you'll join me, Brian Doucette, as I interview a different martial artist each episode and hear their story. Some guests you may have heard of, and some you probably haven't. Be sure to subscribe where all your favorite podcasts are available. Also visit our website at everydaymartialartist.com. If you're listening for a specific interview, I sure hope you'll stay and check out the other episodes. A very special thank you to Topher Williams for our custom theme music. And now, the newest episode of Everyday Martial Artist. Everyday Martial Artist is brought to you by KOOnline.com for all your martial arts needs. Sparring and safety gear, rank belts, uniforms, weapons, patches, and more. Wholesale supplies made by martial artists for martial artists. Visit us today at ko-online.com. Hello and welcome to Everyday Martial Artist. I'm your host, Brian Doucette, and as we do every week, we're joined by a brand new guest talking about their life and their journey throughout the world of martial arts and other stuff they're involved in. My guest today is a 2 gold stripe, black stripe Kung Fu professional and expert fitness trainer. She is the founder of the Global Kung Fu Alliance. She's been named Canada's top fitness trainer in the Best Calgary. She also has been named one of the top 10 fitness trainers in the world. She's been involved in fitness training and practicing martial arts for over 20 years. Her clients range from celebrities such as Brett Wilson from the TV show Dragon's Den. I believe that's the Canadian version of Shark Tank, which I love. Top-level executives, tech entrepreneurs, and everyday people. She's a third lineage in Wing Chun Kung Fu. Her Sifu, Brian Lewandy, is a second-generation master in the Ip Man Lineage, was taught by William Cheung, who trained with Bruce Lee. She's also the author of Push Your Way Through. Please welcome my guest today, Kendra Mahon. How are you doing today, Kendra?
I'm doing great, Brian. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I truly appreciate your time. I know I say this to every guest, but I really do, because if the guests didn't give their time, the show would have ended a long time ago. So I truly appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I'm excited to learn more about you and your martial arts journey.
Absolutely.
Well, what we do with all my guests, I want to go back to the beginning. I know we said you've been doing this 20 years. I want to know where that first interest came from, that first spark that kind of kicked off your martial arts journey, and just talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, unlike a lot of people, I actually at the time was not looking for martial arts. I was looking for a way to get into better shape and make positive changes in my life.
Okay.
This was many years ago. This was almost over 20 years ago. And I opened up, at the time, the Yellow Pages and found a martial arts school near a place I worked. So I went in and tried a free class, and I was instantly hooked. I felt the power of the energy of the movements and the positive environment of people working together and bettering themselves, essentially. So for me, the first interest wasn't because of, Bruce Lee or a cool martial arts movie. It was to find a way to better myself and to find personal development. So that's how it started. And before I knew it, I was able to do things, I didn't even realize I was learning to do. Mm-hmm. My friends noticed a big difference. And my life kind of changed at that point when I started martial arts. And ever since then, it's just been a beautiful journey of self-discovery and health and well-being.
So that very first school you went to, first of all, what style was it, and how long did you stay at that first school?
The first school was the Canadian Wing Chun Kung Fu Academy, and it's the only school I've trained at.
Oh, wow.
For the whole course of my training. So it was traditional Wing Chun. As you mentioned earlier, my Sifu learned under William Cheung and brought that from Australia to Canada. And I was so fortunate. Even at the time, I had no idea I was in the hands of such a master. But it just happened like that. So it was Wing Chun, and it was over 20 years ago at the same school.
What was it about that specific instructor? I know you fell in love with the style itself, but what was it about Brian? What was it about him that maybe stood out and really made you want to keep going with that specific school?
Well, Sifu Brian Lewandy introduced the idea of using the martial art to evolve your own personal life, which actually inspired me to write my book called Push Your Way Through, which is using the ancient principles of Kung Fu to get what you want in life. So under this particular style of training, there was less emphasis on ego and competition and who's better than who. In fact, that wasn't the essence of what we were doing at all. So for me, it was just another way to flourish from the inside out. It was such a positive experience and still is. And that's exactly why I have made it my life mission to share Kung Fu with the world. And that's what also inspired me to start the Global Kung Fu Alliance.
Okay. So and I have to go back and look through some episodes, but I'm almost positive that you're the second person, at least the second person I've interviewed that has a connection to William Cheung. I'm almost positive that for some reason, when I read that name on your bio, that name jumped out. So I'll have to go back and dig through some episodes, but I think you're at least the second under the William Cheung lineage. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, thank you.
So I know you mentioned that, the emphasis wasn't really on competition. Did you ever get involved in the competition at all, or was that pretty much never happening at that school?
Well, we did a lot of sparring, which
Okay.
was to use what we've learned in application settings. So yes, we did spar and train in group settings with attackers and defenders. However, there was no competitions, and I have never done competitions because for me, Wing Chun was about not only self-development and personal growth, but self-defense, to feel confident and to build confidence so much that you can go out and feel solid, that you are aware of your environment and be able to use your body to defend yourself. For me, that was just such a practical skill. It wasn't practical for me in my mind to go out and compete, because that was going to feed my ego. That was an ego-based driven desire, which I didn't have. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not what I did.
I'm kind of the same. I've literally, in my 40 years in martial arts, I've done one tournament, and it was only because my instructor at the time forced me to. Otherwise, I would have probably never done competition. So I'm kind of with you. That I mean, I have no problem training other people for competition and going and watching and cheering them on, but I've just never had the interest in doing it myself. I get where you're coming from.
Okay, awesome.
So at what point did you get involved in the teaching side of martial arts? When did that become, sharing this with other people and sharing that knowledge? When did that become important to you?
Well, that became important, I think, in the last 5 years. It became really important when COVID hit, because suddenly I wasn't able to do my one-on-one training, and it inspired me to have that global reach, which inspired me to make all of my programs to help other people to better themselves. So I believe that answers the question.
Definitely. No, I know you mentioned the book, you mentioned the Global Kung Fu Alliance, and obviously I'm going to be talking about your website in a bit. Which of those came first?
The website came first.
Okay.
And the whole global reach on the internet came first. And then the Global Kung Fu Alliance came after that. I found that people wanted to have a sense of belonging and a sense of community, a sense of not being judged depending on, what lineage. We've got the lineage battles that happen sometimes. So it was just for a place where people could feel safe and get the recognition that they deserve.
Okay.
I felt that was important with the outreach that I had, was to allow people the access to the information and the community to thrive.
Just looking through the info on your website under the Global Kung Fu Alliance, and mentions Wing Chun, yoga, meditation, reflexology, Reiki, life coaching, NLP, Feng Shui. So you got a lot of. It's not just Kung Fu. It's a lot of different things you have in there and that you're talking about and pushing out there, which is really cool. How has that been accepted fairly well? And how many it's called the Global Kung Fu Alliance? How members are they pretty much spread out around the world?
Absolutely. We have members. You can check out the Global Kung Fu directory at kungfukendra.com/kick. And in our global directory, we have hundreds of members from over 60 countries, and it's growing every day. So I'm really excited about that. And you did talk about the certification programs we've developed to help people learn holistic skills. And for me, martial arts is a holistic activity. It's not just a physical activity. It's not just a mental activity. It's a holistic activity. So I picked the particular programs that I specialize in to teach others, essentially. So Whether they want to take it to that level or not, that's up to them. But I do feel like there is a lot of value in the learning.
Nice. Talk a little bit more about the website. Overall, kungfukendra.com. What kind of things, if maybe someone who's not involved in Kung Fu, what are some things that they would get out of that? And what type of other stuff? I mean, I noticed on the store, you have quite a bit on there and the global
Yep.
Kung Fu Alliance. So what's some other stuff that would maybe interest people, listeners of mine who aren't specifically Kung Fu students?
Well, absolutely. If you check out the blog, there are numerous amounts of free resources with exercises that people can do from home, information about particular exercises and forms of well-being. So if you check out the blog, you can find a lot of good, useful information that could help somebody with their everyday life. So I definitely encourage that. The About page is interesting too, because you can see all of my accomplishments, and then of course the lineage, which is pretty cool, I'd have to say. The store is fully loaded with all kinds of things that are helpful for people. And the reviews, I've been fortunate enough to have some very, very wonderful people give me testimonials. So the website, there's lots to look at and click around at kungfukendra.com, and I definitely encourage your listeners to do that.
And like I said, I'll put links for all that out there for sure. And one thing we wanted to talk about, we talked a little bit before we started recording, is the subliminal Kung Fu audio that we'll be providing a link for people to get that free when they listen to this episode. So talk a little bit about that and what people will get out of that.
Okay. Well, I'm a strong believer, like I had mentioned earlier, in the holistic approach to life and personal development. And I've created a Kung Fu subliminal audio to help people have better focus. So subliminals work kind of, in an interesting way because they deliver a message that is masked under music. So it goes right to your subconscious mind. I recorded these subliminals. I've got a whole library of them, but for your viewers, if they visit kungfukendra.com/kick, they can download this audio and listen to it. I specifically created certain words and phrases that you can't hear them. You can just barely hear them, but you're not listening for them. And the music is very relaxing, using alpha, isochronic, and delta tones. And the whole thing is just very intriguing, and it's free. And bottom line, it's free. So kungfukendra.com/kick. You can get your free giveaway there.
Cool. I appreciate that. And hopefully the listeners will enjoy that also. That's really kind of cool. So over your 20 years in Kung Fu, have you done any weapons training? I know some styles of Kung Fu do weapons, some don't.
Absolutely. I did do weapons training, and I still do. So in Wing Chun, we use the butterfly swords, the Wing Chun knives. Mm-hmm. They're just handheld. They look like two knives. And so there's the Wing Chun sword form. There's the long sword in Wing Chun. And, of course, the staff, the dragon pole form. So we did learn those weapons, and there is forms associated with those particular weapons. And we also have learned defenses against weapons coming at us. So sticks, as an example, and you think, well, why would someone fight with sticks? But sticks can be two objects, any two objects you've got laying around. But we train with sticks, like wooden sticks, mm-hmm. and we learn to defend ourselves against them, as well as use them to defend ourselves. And of course, knives, knife defenses. Obviously, we're not learning to attack, but we're learning to defend ourselves from a knife attack and disarming the knife and getting away safely.
Okay. And out of all those that you've trained with, what's your favorite weapon to train with?
My favorite weapon would be the butterfly swords. Okay. 100%.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, I've only seen a few Wing Chun forms with weapons, and they're beautiful to watch. I definitely enjoy watching those. So now, at what point did you decide to kind of combine Kung Fu and fitness and make that your career? What led to that decision?
What led to that decision was the power that was in a Kung Fu cardio workout. You're getting the aspects of self-defense, plus the aspects of cardio, plus the aspects of strength training. So I I realized that the correlation between fitness and Kung Fu was completely interconnected. And you had mentioned earlier that I've worked with celebrities, and that's true with Brett Wilson from the Dragon's Den. We did cardio Kung Fu training. So it was Kung Fu-based fitness training.
Okay.
Some people want to learn the curriculum of Wing Chun, and some people want to use the Kung Fu as a fitness workout. So that's kind of how that started.
Now, have you ever looked into some of the other programs out there that have done something similar, like a Billy Blanks with his Tai Bo, combining the Taekwondo with fitness? Have you looked into that, and is it some similarities, quite a few differences, or have you never tried to compare them?
I actually haven't tried to compare them.
Okay. I've
got nothing against them, and I think that any workout that someone's going to do is just a great thing in general.
Yeah.
But I've always stuck with the Kung Fu cardio workout because it doesn't require any equipment. It can be done in a small room. And actually, the Kung Fu cardio workout is what inspired me to create the home workout, which can be found at my website. And that was a very important product that I created to help others because I created it during COVID, during the time that nobody could really leave their house, that is. So the Kung Fu cardio workout is unique in that it doesn't require anything really. Sometimes I often call it the prison workout because you just need a small space.
Okay. So what do you think, or maybe walk me through your thought process now, over the last 30 years, overall in the martial arts community, one of the biggest things that's really become kind of popular is cross-training, multiple styles, and we're doing this, combining jiu-jitsu and combining kickboxing and all this stuff. What do you think it is, or is there a specific reason why you've decided to never go that route? And there's definitely plenty of people who only stick with one style, but I'm just curious on your decision to do that.
My decision has been that I've just been completely busy with Wing Chun Kung Fu. I've devoted my whole self to it to the point where I am it. And I think that it's great if people want to do mixed martial arts and learn all sorts of different things. But I've just naturally honed in on the one thing, maybe just to keep it streamlined and efficient like Wing Chun is. It's a very efficient martial art. I just have been just so busy and absorbed in it that it fills me up 100%.
Nice. And I know we talked a little bit about your book, and I wanted to just get a little more into that, because one thing I think is interesting about you and kind of your story is that the stuff you're pushing and the stuff you're teaching people and on your website and everything looks like it's not specifically just about Kung Fu. You're trying to reach a broader audience. So and to me, the book looks almost like more like a self-help type book. Why is that important to you? Why is it important to you to try to reach such a wide audience and kind of cross over the Kung Fu into, like you mentioned before, the everyday lifestyle, and make it so it can help people have nothing to do with martial arts, but maybe they'll get this out of it. So why is that so important to you?
Well, it's important to me because I think that the most important thing in life, and one thing that we all have in common, is that time is of the essence, and our sense of how we spend our lives and how we feel during our time being alive, we should feel happy and we should feel joy and we should feel like we have some control over the outcomes that are happening in our lives. So for me, learning Kung Fu and being involved in Kung Fu for as long as I have, I've noticed a direct correlation that has changed my life. And it inspired me to teach others the metamorphosis of Kung Fu into the modern day world to make our lives more efficient and easy so that we can spend more time enjoying life. Simple things like grocery shopping or finding a parking spot and this and that. These are all things that can take up a lot of time. And at the end of the day, time is so valuable. We only have so many jelly beans in the jelly bean jar that we don't know when that last one's going to be taken out. So we want to spend our time being happy, feeling good, feeling healthy, having efficient schedules so then we can do more of the things we love and less of the things we don't love. We can attract the things we want with a positive mindset. We can create a world around us. And so I found these tools which were hidden in the ancient principles of Kung Fu. And if you read the book, it's available on Amazon. It's push your way through and it'll teach you all of that. So for me, it was just a no-brainer to write the book and share my knowledge and help others get what they want, be happier, and have a more fulfilling life.
Very cool. Any future plans of writing another book?
Not right now. Not right now. I've currently been completely focused on a Wing Chun certification program that I've devoted the last 5 years of my life to building, and it's actually going to be released on December 1st.
Oh, cool.
So right now, there's no new books on the agenda, but I'm a very busy person, and I'm constantly thinking of new ideas and ways to help people.
Okay. So have you ever done, and if not, any thoughts of doing, like, with what you're involved in, to me this would make sense, but like any time to like keynote speaking type things?
Absolutely. I do quite a few video podcasts. As far as keynote speaking, nothing scheduled in the near future, but a lot of things have gone online. It's very rare to get invited to speak at online events, especially since COVID. It's been, but I almost prefer the remote phone calls and the video podcasts, but nothing in the future has been booked.
You should look into maybe doing like a TED Talk type thing. That's what usually like a 12 or 14 minute mini keynote speech, and do like a TEDx event or a TED Talk event.
Yeah.
Your message would fit that very well, I think.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And I have considered that before, and I am still considering it. And you're not the first person that's mentioned that, but I do appreciate that thoughtful idea.
One other question I was going to ask a little bit ago and kind of slipped my mind, but do you train mostly adults, or do you also train kids?
I train children as well.
Okay.
I'm not doing as much in-person training right now because I travel quite a bit. But when I did do in-person training, I did train children as well. And the great thing about Wing Chun is that you can start at an early age, probably like most martial arts as well. So
cool. So over all your years, your 20 years of martial arts, is there one philosophy you've learned that is at the top of your list?
I would have to say definitely. There's one philosophy, and that would be when in doubt, go work out. Okay.
Nice.
And when I say workout, it doesn't mean, maybe hitting the gym or whatever, but it means when you're feeling not at your best, the best thing to do is do something physical.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mind over matter, matter over mind theory. And I would have to say that would be it. When in doubt, go work out.
I like that. I pretty much live by that. I don't know how often when I, just randomly, I need to let something out and I'll go hit the heavy bag for 20 minutes. And you're right. It's so helpful. It's calming. Most people, and I told that to friends, they're like, hitting the heavy bag makes you calm. I'm like, yes, it actually does. It's very, very calming to do that. So I definitely agree with that.
Definitely.
How about a worst martial arts related injury?
The worst martial arts injury I've had was, well, it wasn't even a martial arts injury. So I haven't had a martial arts injury.
Wow.
However, and I think that comes with a proper warm-up and being conscious of what you're doing. I've been very thankful that I've never, been punched, but maybe that's because in our sparring sessions, I was doing the technique the right way. I have had a broken foot, and that was actually from jogging on a treadmill.
Really?
Yeah, I must have been wearing the wrong shoes, and I was limping for about 3 weeks straight. I let it heal on its own, but I've never had a martial arts injury.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm kind of the same. My worst injuries have nothing to do with martial arts. I think I've sprained an ankle and I think fractured a knuckle. That's pretty much it for martial arts. But my worst injury was from kickball in high school gym class. That's when I blew out my ACL. So
yeah.
So then, what are your thoughts on something like MMA and the UFC? Is that something you're a fan of?
I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of it. I don't watch it. I don't know any of the people that are doing it these days. I don't watch a lot of TV, and, my news feeds and things like that are Kung Fu and, Wing Chun related. So I'm not a big fan of watching people hurt other people either.
Okay.
That's surprising for a lot of people to hear, but I don't like violence. And that's what I like about Kung Fu is it's not a offensive sport. It's a reaction to someone attacking you. It's not instigating an attack, if that makes sense. So I don't like watching fighting and definitely don't like watching people get hurt.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. All right. I have some kind of fun questions we use to kind of wrap up the show. This one, I know you said you're not a fan of MMA, you don't like watching people get, but let's just say, for fun that you decide you were going to fight in an MMA fight. What song is playing as you're walking into the cage? What's your walk-up music going to be?
Wow, let me think about that for a minute. I would have to say The Mob Rules by Black Sabbath.
Nice. I think you're the first person to pick Black Sabbath. I like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. All right. Now this one, it doesn't have to be 4 people. I've had people give as few as 2 and as many as 8, but just 3, 4, 5 names that you would put on your personal Mount Rushmore of martial arts.
3 or 4 names?
Yeah.
Okay. I would have to say Brian Lewandy.
Nice.
Bruce Lee. Ip Man.
Nice.
William Cheung.
Okay.
And I think that would be it.
Hey, 4 Wing Chun people. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. How about a favorite martial arts book?
Favorite martial arts book? I'd have to say Push Your Way Through. By Kung Fu Kendra.
Other than your own favorite martial arts book.
To be honest, I've only ever read my own book.
Really?
I read it. Yeah, I read it periodically. Sometimes I'll just open up a page. But to be honest, I'm not really into reading. And if I'm going to read a book, I'm going to read mine. And if I want to read another book, I'll probably write a new book.
Okay, there you go. All right. Now, this one you may not have an answer for. Do you have a favorite martial arts video game? Did you ever get into video games?
Mortal Kombat.
Nice. Cool. I like that one. I'd say Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Tekken are probably the 3 most picked ones. So that's a solid answer.
Yeah.
All right. How about a favorite martial arts TV show?
Favorite martial art TV show? Kung Fu.
Nice.
Hands down, Kung Fu.
Okay. Like it. Now, did you watch the remake that was on a couple years ago?
No.
Okay. I was just curious. I know it didn't last that long, so I was curious what you thought about it. They are making
I heard about it.
Yeah. Well, they're making a new version of the original Kung Fu, a movie version starring Donnie Yen. They just started talking about earlier this year. Yeah. I think that's going to, I'm excited for that one. I'm very excited for that one.
I absolutely love the Ip Man series.
Yes.
Definitely. So.
Okay. Well, then maybe you already answered this next question, but favorite martial arts movie?
Ip Man number 1.
Nice. So in your opinion then, with your background, do you think they really showcased Wing Chun correctly and positively?
Definitely. In my opinion, especially the first movie they made it just gives me chills thinking about it. Just the power of the moves, and Donnie Yen, he's so good. He's a fantastic martial artist, and he absolutely represents everything that Wing Chun is, in my opinion.
Nice. Okay. All right, this one doesn't have to be a martial arts movie. Any movie you've ever seen, favorite movie fight scene?
Favorite movie fight scene? It'll be in the Ip Man 1 with Donnie Yen and versus 10 karate people.
Nice.
I've got that clip saved. You can look it up on YouTube. It's Donnie Yen versus 10 karate people. And it's the coolest. It's a little graphic and violent.
Yeah.
But there's just something about all of it that has such truth.
Well, I like it. Okay, cool. All right. Definitely want to mention one more time before we wrap it up, the free gift, the subliminal Kung Fu audio at kungfukendra.com/kick. Give it one more little 30-second talk about that so that people know what they're looking for.
Well, if you visit kungfukendra.com/kick, you will find a free gift, which is a Kung Fu subliminal audio, which will help you have better Kung Fu focus. If you're not into martial arts or that's not your thing, it will also help program your subconscious mind to be more focused in whatever capacity that you need in your life. And you listen to it once a day for 21 days and you'll feel some good results.
Nice. And like I said, we'll put links for all that. We'll put links for your book, for your website, for all the other stuff we've been talking about. But before I let you go, anything that I forgot to ask you or we want to be sure to mention, any possible new stuff coming up or just anything you want to get out there before we wrap it up?
Yes. Well, I'm pretty excited to announce that I'm releasing my William Cheung certification course starting on December 1st, so coming up here in a couple of weeks. And it's my life's work, this complete, comprehensive, intricate program. And it's available on my website, kungfukendra.com/kick. You can check it out there.
Awesome. Well, Kendra, seriously, this has been a lot of fun. I loved hearing your story. Wish you definitely continued success. And I can't wait to get the episode out.
Thanks, Brian. I thank you for your time today.
Thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist. We hope you will join us every week for a brand new episode with a different martial artist telling their story. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave us a review. Also, be sure to check out our website at everydaymartialartist.com. There you can find all of our episodes and contact us to suggest guests and ask questions. Again, thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist, and we'll see you next week.